MVP made his debut, and he took on Kevin Holland. Now, I'm debating bringing you guys this piece. I am. I was even thinking, I was trying to get clever there. What can I do? So I thought about titling this MVP versus Kevin Holland. Then when you open it, it's just going to be me standing here. And eventually I'm going to tell you the story of the time Front Row Brian sends me an urgent text and tells me I need to get on YouTube and get over to the Joey Diaz podcast. There's a live stream. So I do. I hustle over there. I text Brian. I said, Brian, there's a camera on Joey Diaz. He's sound asleep. And Brian said, yeah, isn't it great? I've been watching it for a half hour. I couldn't stop watching it. And eventually I did, because I had to get something else done. But it went for over 2 hours and did crazy numbers. So I was thinking of titling this piece MVP versus Kevin Holland, or MVP's debut, or here's what you missed, or guess anything about that. And then it'd be more like this. It'd just be like a shot. Like I would be standing here. And after a period of time, you would either click off it, or you would be like Front Row Brian and I and say, I can't go. I can't go until he moves. Then I had a better idea. And I thought, I'm going to title this MVP and Kevin Holland. Then when you come on, I'm going to tell you a completely different story, and possibly even a joke. For those that follow, maybe even the one about the pink golf balls. But then I got saved right before I came into my concrete laboratory here. I got saved. I'm still, as you saw, titling this MVP Kevin Holland. Now, in real truth, I don't give them a hard time. I just know they're going to get given a hard time. And I also know they didn't give me quite enough to talk about. So sometimes you just have matches. I actually have a lot more grace to that than other people will. And I only say that because there just wasn't much to talk about. But while I'm having these thoughts of how I'm going to handle this, they bring up the fourth inductee into the 2024 Hall of Fame. And they talk about straw weights. And I stood up. I had no idea. I was so surprised. I stood up and I straightened my shirt. Because one thing about straw weights is none of one never beaten me. Not one. Not a single round. So as soon as I hear straw weights, I know, wow, okay, I'm going in. And they then brought up Joanna Champion, and I was so happy for her. I really was. Like, I couldn't tell you a ton about people's careers. And if you gave me a lot of time to think, I could tell you who I first fought. But I couldn't tell you how many fights I had unless you gave me time. I mean, I'd come up with all of them. And I definitely couldn't tell you what my record was off the top of my head. And how many 185 pounds, how many 205 pounds, right? And I'm really good at those kinds of things. I just couldn't do it. And that's with my own career. So I'm just sharing with you, with somebody else's career, there's just not very many that I could tell you the A to Z. You give me some time, you let me think. I got a really sharp memory, but I could with Joanna. I mean, I can tell you her very first fight. The very first one. She comes in against the Esparza. Esparza's champion of the world. She's got the belt over her shoulder. Joanna comes in, goes to a press conference. Joanna was into this. She was into holding up the finger. And while that might not be an overly hard gimmick, it was her gimmick, and she looked really cool doing it. Like Boss Ruben can do that same thing. Chris Lieben was like getting ears with a finger. Like there's some guys that can pull the finger, right? Joanna's doing the finger, but Esparza's the champion. So Esparza's got the belt over his shoulder. Well, Esparza didn't appear to know that Joanna's thing was to do the finger. So when they're facing off and Joanna's doing the finger, Esparza's thinking, oh, we are doing the finger, right? Like if you came face to face with an opponent and they put their hands up, you put your hands up. You're like, oh, that's what we're doing this. Oh, okay, you know, you do that to me. Oh, I do that to you. No big deal. You hug me, I hug you. No big deal. Esparza holds the finger up. She's the champion. Joanna tells her, no, you put the finger down. You are not number one. I am number one. She's the challenger. Esparza's got the belt. Carla put the finger down. Carla Esparza put the finger down. It was a very interesting moment. And, I mean, I'm just sharing that with you to tell you how well I remember her career. She couldn't speak without you wanting. She wore some leather jacket that was fly. Like, she just looked cool in the leather jacket. I mean, she had this thing. And I was at the 2012 UFC Fighter Summit, and she hadn't fought but 2 or 3 times. There was no way it was more than 3. Literally. And when she came in to the room, I remember I'm sitting with Rhonda, and Overeem is straight behind us. And Overeem and I are like sending each other texts, and then Rhonda and I are visiting. Rhonda had this bowl of berries, and it was early in the morning, and she was sharing her berries. Like, I just remember the room was full. And when Joanna came in, you should have seen it. Everybody, Rhonda included, Overeem included, everybody turned. That's her. That's the girl. She came walking. Her hair was there. She had on the leather jacket. I'm only sharing with you. I don't remember these things about anybody. I remember them about her. Joanna Champion was special. She is special. She belongs in the Hall of Fame. And that is what happened after Kevin Holland versus MVP. Boom.